Hi there, it's Jan here, and today I'm going to talk about Exam P. I'm happy to announce that I've successfully passed Exam P for the second try. So I just passed it yesterday, and yeah, today I'm going to share some of the things that I did during my first time that I passed. For the first time that I failed the exam, like what I did wrong and how I came to pass the exam for the second try. So yeah, let's do this. Okay, so similar to last time, I printed out the syllabus and the coaching actuaries formula sheet as a guide. And for Exam P, I feel like the syllabus is not that helpful because there's just 1, 2, 3 topics. So yeah, I didn't really use the syllabus as a guide to study for the first time, but I guess if you don't use coaching actuaries, this is pretty helpful. Like you can see all these parts, and I think it's pretty accurate. Like conditional probabilities and all these details are tested in the exam. Poisson and normal. But what I did was I used coaching actuaries to see the topics, so that's why I didn't have to use the syllabus this time. Coaching actuaries formula sheet. Again, pretty straightforward, so I think all these things are very helpful and you should know almost all of it before you attempt the exam. Yeah. Okay, so if you notice, the syllabus is actually July 2021 and I took my exam first try during September 2021 and I failed that exam, and then I tried it again during January 2022 and I passed it. So it took me maybe I started studying from May, so May to January, around 7 months. Yeah, it took me 7 months to study for the exam. So yeah, so my original plan was to study every day while I was in an internship, but that didn't work out. So yeah, during May, June, July, I was taking an internship, as you can tell from my other videos, and I tried to make myself study after work, but it just doesn't work because I was too tired when I came back home, and then I have to wake up early in the morning. So if you wanna study while working, I think it would take a longer time. So try not to do that. What else? So like after I finished my internship, I was very excited? No. I felt very pressured to take Exam P because it's my second last semester, so I need to have at least 2 exams pass to get a job. So I tried to rush it, but it didn't work. So if you are planning to take an exam, make sure that you are confident, unless you don't mind losing that sum of money, I guess. So to give you an idea of how much I studied during my first try, like I said, I tried to do 5 questions every day between between May to July. But I didn't really do like 5 questions every day. It's more like 1 question every day. And sometimes I don't even do 1 in a day. Yes. So, but here's my record on the stuff I did. So like similar to exam FM, at first I tried not to use coaching actuaries. So I took the questions from the sample exam and just divided them into different categories. So like MGF, okay, there's only 2 questions here. And then insurance and risk management, this is just a formula. Distributions, again formulas. Percentile was a bit tricky, but once you get it down, it should be okay. Okay, around 5 questions. Yeah, this came out quite a lot too. Sum and average of IID. Okay, 4 questions. CDF transform, this also came out. Okay, this has a bit more. And then I did a few exams. I think this was 30th August. Maybe this exam is from coaching actuaries, but I'm not sure. Yeah. So because I registered for the exam during September and I felt like the sample exam questions weren't good enough, so I decided to register for coaching actuaries and started doing questions in there. So I think these 3 exams and this quiz is from coaching actuaries. But as you can tell, everything is all over the place, which I felt is the tricky part in Exam P. It's like, at least for me, when I tried doing the questions, I don't really know which questions belong to which categories. It's not like FM where everything is quite clear. Yeah, so that's the tricky part. Okay, just showing you. Yeah, so I also did like write down the formulas during my first try of exam. This was all done last minute, so it's not very pretty. Yeah, I think most of this I just copied from the coaching actuaries formula sheet, and some of them is like some tricky parts I just wrote it down. For example, median. Yeah, and this one also is quite tricky. Conditional distribution is a tough one, but I think it comes out every time, so you have to know this. And this also, because some of the questions, they don't appear on the sample exam, so it's important to know by looking through the syllabus, or maybe just looking through the coaching actuaries formula sheet. Yeah. Okay, that's all for the stuff I did during the first try. So the thing about failing is it was very hard at first. Like, I couldn't accept that I failed my exam because it cost $250, and then I spent like 5 months studying, so I was very, very sad. Yeah, very sad. But eventually I just had to keep going, so I did some reflections during that time, and I wrote it down too, so I'm going to share some of the stuff that I wrote down after I failed the exam. So okay. So one small background to take note of is during the month before the exam of my first try, I was moving apartments, and that was my first month of a new semester. So during that time I was very busy, and I didn't really have a designated study place to study because I was staying at someone else's place. And yeah, so that was one of the reasons why I felt like I failed during that first try, because I didn't have a study place and I didn't really took the time to study. Yeah, and then these are the reasons that I wrote a few months ago. So yeah, you can see that you have to be very honest with yourself when you fail. And here you can see these are the things that I did. Yeah, so if you fail, you have to write down what do you think the problems were, and then find solutions to it. So in case, I hope you don't fail, but if you do, maybe you can try this exercise too. Failing my first try, I was thinking of taking it like 2 months after, so November, but because I was taking a lot of heavy classes during the semester, I decided not to take it during November, and so the next sitting will be January. Yeah, so I decided to take my time so that I don't feel stressed or when preparing for the exam. So now I'm going to show you what I did differently for the second try. To show you what my first try performance was, yeah, so you can see my general probability is medium, and then both univariate and multivariate was quite poor, so low. So this is what you get if you fail the exam. Yeah, so for the second try, I was very lucky to receive an old study manual from a friend, and I decided to focus on the areas that I was weak at, which was univariate and multivariate. From this study manual, you will see like there's different sections, which is very nice. So I knew that I was quite okay in probability. Yeah, this one. So I started doing questions from the sections that I was weak at. So there are 9 sections, which is not a lot. 10 sections, which is not a lot. And then a lot more practice exam, which I didn't do at all. actually only started studying 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks before the exam. Yeah, I started studying in January even though my exam was in 25th of January. So yeah, you can see my handwriting here. So I knew this is one of the weaker areas, so I did questions just on that topic until I feel like I'm familiar with it. So yeah, only the circle ones were the one that I did. So this was still okay, it's not that difficult. Yeah, this is expectation. Again, I did all this. The ones that I circle were the ones that I did. So because there were a lot of questions, I tried to focus on the ones with the SOA. If I did not have time, I'll just do those with the SOA ones. Okay, I'm gonna show you the working if I can. I feel like my working isn't very helpful, so I'm not gonna show them all, but you can see this is the amount of questions that I did. Oops, okay, no, I just left it, but around that much questions I did from the manual. Okay, yeah. Again, when you do these questions, you have to make sure that you understand what's going on, and if you get it wrong, you should write down what you got wrong. Yeah, so do that, and then problem 5, section 6. Discrete distributions. Did I do this? Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, I did until section continuous distributions. I did this too. I did the SOA ones, and then yeah, joint section 8 is very important. I think it's the trickiest one out of all of them. Yeah, it's the trickiest topic. Did I do this? Yeah, I did some of them. So if you can nail down this topic, I think it's how to say, you'll feel more confident going into the exam, because if you don't know about this topic at all, I don't think you will pass the exam. That's how important it is. I think this is under multivariate. Yeah, multivariate distributions. Okay, so remember to focus on this topic, and then yeah, the good thing about this topic is that a lot of times you just have to draw it out, and yeah, if you don't draw it, it's very hard to get to the solutions. Okay, problem set 8. Oh, and then functions and transformations. Because I didn't have enough time, so I didn't do section 9 and section 10. I jumped straight into the exams, sample exams on coaching actuaries, which is here. So you can see I did 6 exams in total, and these 3 exams was for during the first try, and then these 3 exams was for the second try. So you can see actually my earn level is not very high, but yeah, just very lucky to pass the exam. Yeah. So I think the thing that really helped me in passing the exam was doing these exams. So like after I did these 3 exams, and on top of the basic knowledge that I got from the study manual, I was able to recognize the pattern which I wasn't able to during the first try. So like at least I know when I see the questions which topic that question is for. So these 3 exams were the ones that I practiced before going into the exam. Again, very important is you have to write down the formulas when you make mistakes so that you know you won't make the same exact mistake again. Okay, let's see. Let's go through one of it just to see. Okay, so I'm gonna show you, overview. This is one of the exams I took. So you can see I only got 17 out of 30, which is quite bad. And then the earn level is 2.56. And coaching actuaries show you the different, like how well you did in each section, which is very helpful. And okay, so let's say you are doing this question, variance m plus n, and if you never tried this question before, you don't really know the formulas. So when you do the question, what I do is like, even though I got it right, but that's because I remember, but I don't really, sometimes I will still forget it. So what I did was I write down the formula again and put a star on it, because these are things that when you are in an exam environment you sometimes will forget. So if there's a formula that you think you are not really familiar with, you should always write it down. The more you write it down, the more you will remember. Okay, so next. Okay. Oh, this one. Okay, this is completely different. Never mind. But yeah, so sometimes you have to, like what I wrote, slow down, because I missed these numbers because I just didn't think enough. And like if you want to find mode, you have to find the derivative equals to 0 and then find x. So these are things that once you do more questions, you'll figure out the technique of doing that particular question. Yeah, sometimes the wording is also important. It's like I didn't know what is ratio of claims to premiums. So ratio of claims to premiums is claims divided by premium. And then yeah, I can combine numbers into probability. Sometimes they will give you like here is like 3 red balls, 2 yellow balls, 5 blue balls, and there are 10 balls in total. So you can actually convert this into probability, but when you do that question you don't really know until you see the solution. So you have to do a lot of questions to be able to figure out the tricks that SOA uses. This one also. So if x and y is independent, the covariance is 0. This sometimes happens also. So if you just blindly do exam questions and you don't really revise back to the questions that you got wrong, you don't really learn all these tricks and stuff. So I think the main technique, main way of learning is mostly learning from your mistakes. That's where the part where you learn the most from. Yeah, like sometimes when you do probability questions, drawing a Venn diagram is helpful, and then yeah, remember to go over your mistakes. Pay attention to constants. Mean of uniform. Okay. Okay, then another helpful thing from Adopt is that so you have all these 4 topics, and if you click on it you will see the subtopics. So from here I noticed that multivariate is very weak, and I see all these rate questions and rate subtopics. During the last few days, because I didn't want to do more exams because it's too time consuming, so I decided to just build a quiz. Yeah, and when you build a quiz you can actually choose from the subtopics. So let's say you're not good like at counting techniques, you can add, and then you can choose the subsections. Yeah, so you get the idea, right? Remember, when you study, once you do enough questions, you should always focus on the areas that you are weak at. Like I said in Exam FM, the video in Exam FM, you should always because at the end you are always aiming to get a certain number of questions correctly, yeah. So the more questions that you are confident at, the higher chance you are going to pass. So you should at least try to have like confidence on almost 80% or even 90% of the topics from the syllabus, and yeah, from here basically. Yeah.